But right now, we talk some hoops with one of the outstanding high school basketball coaches ever in the state of South Carolina, who announced yesterday that he is retiring after over 40 years at Irmo High School. We welcome to Sports Talk Coach Tim Whipple. And, Coach, good evening, sir. How are you? How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's been a hectic couple days, but everything's going well.
Well, I wanted to ask you, now that it's public, came out yesterday, you told your team, how do you feel the day after? What are the emotions like?
Well, it is. It's been a bit overwhelming for sure, and this is. I guess people might retire several times. I certainly don't plan on that. So when you do something once in a lifetime, it's not an easy thing to do. So I have no reservations, but at the same time, I know this is not going to be something that I'm going to be able to just brush on by. You don't do something your entire life and then it'd be easy just to stop it and everything's going to be fine.
I understand. I mean, I think about you from your days in high school in Columbia, and then you go to Erskine, where you're a standout there playing with Red Myers, and then you get into the coaching world at a very early age and quickly work your way up into the ranks. And, 40 years goes by in a flash, doesn't it?
Well, unfortunately, yes. but obviously there's a whole lot of unbelievable memories, and certainly, like many, I'll take that into my retirement.
For sure. What are some? Besides the championships and all the wins and some of the great players, the players that you sit on to play college basketball, what are some of the top memories for you?
I think, and it's not something that I say lightly. Obviously, if you have a career and you don't have a whole lot of success in that career, then that kind of puts you in a situation where you don't have a good taste in your mouth. So I am grateful for the career and success that we were able to have. But when it gets down to it, it's the relationships that you have with people. And I think that's the hardest thing about retirement. It's not the act of doing what you do, whatever that job is. It's the people and the relationships and getting. I have had the opportunity for over 43 years, just as the head coach at Irmo, 43, to meet young men, women, parents, administrators, in-state, out-of-state, just had an unbelievable opportunity to grow and nurture relationships. And I think that's when it's all said and done, that's what you remember, the friendships that you developed for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Visiting with Tim Whipple, that kind of career, that's Phil Savage-like, that's John McKissick-like. I just think about, coaches who had extended runs at one school. Was there ever a time in your career where you were tempted to go to another high school or maybe take on a college job somewhere?
There was a couple situations that came over the years that intrigued me, and but there's a reason. Irmo High School is certainly a little different now than it was back in 1980 when I started, but at the same time, it is an unbelievable place to work, and the support that I've had is what's kept me there the whole time, and certainly having some pretty good players has helped along the way as well. But it's just so many good memories. I would never dream of working anywhere else, and wouldn't have changed a single thing.
Well, the list of outstanding players that you coached, is long, and I don't want to single out anybody at the expense of anybody else, but I will throw the name B.J. Mackey out there, and your days coaching him and watching him grow and develop to become not just a great high school player, great college player, pro player, and now a college coach. What do you remember about your days with B.J. Mackey?
You don't win championships if you don't have great players. I mean, you have to have them. I mean, there's no doubt about that. You can only do so much, but BJ is without a doubt the top of the list of many players that I've been fortunate enough to coach. Just totally driven as a player, a pleasure to be around. Worked every single day. His family is absolutely incredible. I actually talked to his son Justin today on the phone, and was excited to hear that he's doing well. And BJ, the exact same work ethic that he had as a player, he did as a student. He went into college, his professional career overseas, and then as an assistant coach, which he's done here in the last part of his life. He's had that same work ethic, and that's why he is successful. And all the people around him have a better chance of being successful when he's there. I love BJ and his whole family.
Sure.
Phil tried to avoid having to single out players, Coach, so I'm going to do it as well. If B.J. Mackey is number one on your list, how far down is Marvin Orange?
Well, I didn't say he was number one. I said he was definitely at the top of the list. You have a number of players at the top of your list. Marvin's one of the kind as well. I think one of the big thrills I had was just recently I was inducted into the Irmo High School Athletic Hall of Fame, and beside me sat Marvin Orange and Pat Marshall. And it was just a wonderful experience for me to have those two young men with me. I mean, just outstanding, not only players but people. And I've been extremely fortunate.
Legendary Irmo High School boys basketball coach Tim Whipple with us here tonight on Sports Talk. Announced his retirement after 43 years of coaching yesterday. And, Coach, one thing I've admired watching your career from afar, I did not grow up in South Carolina, but I was telling Phil last night, one of the first names I heard in terms of high school basketball when I moved in the state was yours. And the consistency, I think, to me really sticks out of your career because you won a state championship, at least one in 4 different decades. When you look back and reflect on your career, how were you as consistently good as you were, considering you're at a high school where you can't necessarily recruit players to come in and play your style, if you will?
Yeah, that is. I think obviously you have to be really, really driven. I think I've said many times that I hate losing more than I enjoy winning. I have always been driven, and hopefully I've done, allowed or put my players in a situation where they are as driven as I am. But it is, I don't wish the way I am because I have a hard time enjoying things. It's always about what's next. It's always the next day. It's always the next season. I have a hard time enjoying the moment of what happens. And I say that's a blessing and curse. I think that's one of the reasons that we have been consistently successful over such a long period of time is that I always kept my athletes looking or living in the moment and getting better every single day and encouraged and put them in a situation where they could be successful and figuring out what the best thing to do was. And because I was so just even keeled all the time, there wasn't a lot of highs and lows. And I think young men need that. I think they need to be challenged. They need to be held accountable. They need to understand that they're a part of a team and each one of them has a role. And if they fulfill that role, you can be successful. And then as a coach and the coaching staff, we worked hard to figure out what was the best thing we needed to do every year. We made adjustments. We made sure our players had the right attitudes, and I've been fortunate to have those guys that were as driven as I was. and those just like those three you just mentioned, BJ or I mentioned, I guess, the BJ, Marvin, Pat Marshall. That's how you win championships.
Mm-hmm.
That's well stated. How much of Red Meyer's coaching philosophy did you use during your time at Irmo?
I would not say. I was talking to somebody. I was talking to my assistant the other day, and I said, what I've done my entire career is if I've learned. I've been blessed to work with some unbelievable coaches. Ken Long at Lexington High School years and years ago. Eddie Raines was at Winsboro High School at the time. I played for Red Myers at Erskine College. I played for Lee Cody at Spring Valley. I've been around other coaches, and what you do is you pick out and you figure out the things that you like that those coaches did. But even sometimes more important, you look at the things you didn't like. And I think a lot of times picking and choosing those things to fit your philosophy helps you to grow, helps you to get better, makes you a student of the game all the time. I study the game constantly and was able to draw from those coaches. Red Meyer in particular was a tactician. He was an X and O person. Not every coach I worked for was. Some of them were more people persons and relating to personalities of players and how to deal with players and how to motivate players and how to get the most out of them. But I think what I got more than anything else at Red Myers was a taskmaster that held people accountable, that was just incredibly smart when it came to what you needed to do on the floor and then preparing to do that in practice. If that answered your question.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, it did. Couple more minutes with Tim Whipple. As you leave coaching after 43 years, and you coached a certain way, and you certainly built relationships and leaned heavily onto that. What do you foresee for future coaches, basketball, football, in this new era of coach-player relationship that we have in college and drifting down to high schools? Will future coaches be able to enjoy the same kind of relationships with players that you had throughout your career?
I can answer that simply. No. I think I'm certainly getting out at the right time. I've always liked having my 7th and 8th graders. They're there. I know they're there. I know I can count on them. We can work with them. We can help them to get better. You have a chance to watch them grow and mature and become better basketball players. You don't have that opportunity now. People are leaving all the time. And it makes it extremely hard on coaches. And I think it makes it more businesslike. And I don't think relationships will be that important in the future. It'll be about more being able to recruit talent, maybe keep talent, but to recruit talent and to have a lot of kids not willing to do the things that they need to do and wait for their opportunities, like you saw more over the last 40 years.
Yeah.
So I'm an old school guy. Obviously, I'm 68 years old, and I grew up in a different era than all these guys, and it does take a lot out of the game for me. I don't like all this change and paying as much as we're paying for these kids, and I'll be quiet now.
Understood. What are you going to do? You're going to go fishing? You're going to go to the beach? What are you going to do?
Well, that's kind of the problem that I have right now. I really don't have any hobbies. I'll hit a golf ball around. I love the beach. I like to read. I'll figure it out. I think I'll be in summer mode here soon, which I'm used to. I've done that for my whole life. But then come August time, I'll stay in summer mode and I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
One way or the other.
Well, sounds like fun. We congratulate you on a fabulous career.
Indeed.
Nobody stays
Indeed.
at one place for 40-something years, and that's just amazing. And everybody respects you, and everybody salutes you for what you've accomplished and the way you handle things throughout your career. We thank you for being with us tonight, and we'll see you somewhere down the road, I'm sure.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the job you guys do.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate you, man.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Coach Tim Whipple, retiring basketball coach at Irmo. What a great career. Man, we're losing some great ones left and right.
It's crazy. Like we were chatting last night, 2024, the year of the retirements.
Yes.
But he's so impressive. Just listening to him talk about his philosophy and coaching, and he had over 40 guys, I think, go on to play collegiate basketball. There's a reason for that, and relationships are key.
He cared about his players, each and
No doubt.
every one of them. And that's right. I think that's going to be a challenge for coaches coming up now. Hit the break. Be back in a moment.